Thank you very much, and would like to say good morning to everyone assembled here today. And I want to thank all my colleagues who are standing here along with me, and thank them for their commitment and dedication to making sure that New York understands the affordability crisis that we're facing. You know, if you think about it, taxes have gone up, the cost of living has gone up, and wages have stayed flat. And that does not even take into account the hardships those looking for work face on a daily basis. No matter where you live, whether it's in the suburbs or in the cities, too many New Yorkers can't afford to live here. And there is no better example, no better pain that middle-class families feel every time they go to the gas pump and pump gas into their vehicles. As I said before, our answer to New York's affordability crisis will determine our future. It starts with stopping the growth of property taxes for homeowners and extending, and most of all, expanding rent regulations for tenants, goals we took an important step towards meeting with yesterday's announcement, and I'm proud of that. But more needs to be done. We need an energy savings plan that reduces the burden on cash-strapped consumers today, not tomorrow, while creating jobs to fuel the economy of tomorrow. As more and more families are taking staycations instead of vacations due to the high cost of living, we must ease their pain at the pump by lowering gas prices. By limiting gas price increases, establishing a fuel cell tax credit, and exempting green vehicles from taxes, we can harness the power of alternative energy to deliver long-term relief for taxpayers. The legislation you will hear about today is bipartisan, package of bills sponsored by both Democrats and Republicans. With support from the majority, it can be immediately passed, and in New York, it can be on its way to addressing the affordability crisis affecting all New Yorkers. I know Albany, and I have been here for a long period of time. And it's always easy to find a way to say no and get nothing done. Ladies and gentlemen, there must be change. We must find a way to say yes to savings, yes to innovation, yes to taxpayers desperate for a break. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat from upstate, downstate. Making New York more affordable is our collective responsibility, because reducing the burden on taxpayers is a burden that we all share. Now, let me introduce the ranking Democrat on the Senate Energies Committee and one of the spark plugs of what some have called a combustible Democratic conference. And that is my friend, my colleague, my next door neighbor, Senator Kevin Parker. Senator Parker.
Good morning. I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st Senatorial District in Brooklyn, which is Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Kensington, and Borough Park. And as our illustrious leader has indicated, I am the ranking Democrat on the Energy and Telecommunications Committee. I've actually served in that position in the 9 years that I've been in the Senate. I've served in that position about 7 of those years. 1 year I was actually the chair of the committee. So this is not a new issue for me or many of my colleagues. I want to actually begin by, one, thanking Senator Sampson for his leadership, particularly around this issue, because although my staff have been working on this issue, it was Senator Sampson who said we absolutely need to make this a conference position, and certainly encourage us to come forward together to put forth a plan. I want to introduce my colleagues who are joining me this morning. Senator Neil Breslin, the deputy leader here in the Democratic Conference from Albany. Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins. Senator Tim Kennedy from Buffalo. Senator Adriano Espaillat from Manhattan and the Bronx. Senator Liz Kruger from Manhattan, our finance ranker. Oh, Senator Michael Generis, also somebody who's been very active on the issue of energy, and of course our Dragon Slayer, Senator Gustavo Rivera from the Bronx. If I gotta be a spark plug, and also joining us is Ross Gould from Environmental Advocates. I wanted to thank him for his presence and for Environmental Advocates' support of this package of legislation. Again, Senator Sampson said it absolutely right, that in these hard economic times, you have families across New York paying more for everything, right? The price of living is going up and the chance of living is going down in the state. And so, we thought it was important to put forward some common sense legislation that would in fact deal with this issue. And because, energy has not just to do with how many miles you drive on the road, but also how you heat your home, what the cost of milk is. Anything that's delivered by truck or by vehicle, those prices are being affected by these gas prices. Petroleum prices in general affect everything, including everything from food to plastics. And so this is having a significant impact on the lives of people. But in addition, it's also hurting businesses, particularly those small businesses that produce the vast majority of jobs in our community. And certainly in an economy that's moving from Wall Street to Main Street, we need to, in fact, make our Main Street stronger and make sure that their costs are as low as possible. And so what we're seeing now is a problem that is not just a New York City problem or a New York State problem, but in fact a national and global problem. And the prolonged nature of the recent increase, it really has created a headwind against the recovery of our national economy. And what we're seeing also is indicators that this is in fact just the beginning of some real problems to come. In fact, Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley announced this week that gas they expect to go up to about $5 a gallon by 2012. And it's absolutely crazy. Many of us obviously know. Many of us drive from near and far, mostly far, to come to Albany every week, and so we see, we share the pain with our constituents in terms of how much they're paying at the pump. I've been lucky enough to drive a hybrid, and so although the hybrid saves me a little bit, it certainly does not totally alleviate the pain of what it costs just to fill up a gas tank to make it up to Albany every week. And yet, despite this kind of real crisis that we're having now with energy prices, yesterday, what did the Republicans do? Instead of coming up with a plan and putting something on the floor that we could pass that would, in fact, help the pocketbooks of the constituents around the state, they come up with a gimmick. And they pass, first on Monday they pass taxes, and then yesterday they come up, instead of helping people, they come up with a gas tax gimmick that would just simply look at holidays. Today, again, we are here to urge the Republican leadership to immediately pass the following legislative package that will increase renewable energy production in New York. It reduces reliance on foreign oil and creates high-paying jobs in the state of New York. And I just want to just quickly go through the list of bills that we have. The first bill is S603 by Senator Jose Peralta, and this legislation prohibits more than one increase in the price of motor fuel in any 24-hour period. The second bill is S1054, sponsored by myself. It provides an incentive in the state of New York for individuals and commercial entities to purchase cleaner, more energy-efficient vehicles as identified by the U.S. S1067, also sponsored by me, requires alternative fuels to be available for public use along New York State thruways for these fuels to be available at least every 120 miles on each side of the thruway. This is the thruway to fuelway bill that essentially would help us help provide access points. You can't tell people that you want them to use alternative energy vehicles and then on the thruway not provide access points for them to get access to these alternative energies. The next bill is S1114, again by myself, sponsored by myself. This bill restores the fuel cell technology tax credit in effect since 2005, and was eliminated in 2009-2010 budget process. We certainly ought to be providing some economic incentives for people to have fuel cell technology in their cars. The next bill is S1149, also sponsored by me, and this bill expands the list of electric generating systems eligible for net metering to include micro hydroelectric systems. The next bill is S2646 by Senator Grisanti. And by the way, Senator Grisanti and Senator Maziarz were both invited to this press conference, and I hope that they would join us. And I think their schedules didn't allow it. But this bill provides owners of vehicles with high mile per gallon fuel efficiency at 10% green Easy Pass discount on tolls in New York. We think it's a good bill. And S4178 by Senator Maziarz. And this purpose of this bill is to allow for the creation of a solar renewable energy tax credit program to stimulate the installation of solar projects in the state of New York. And so we think that this is a good comprehensive bill, package of bills. As you see, is bipartisan. They all have companion bills in the Assembly, and so these are things that we're not just talking about in terms of just putting forward press conference bills, but having a package that actually could become a law and have a significant impact on both the fuel and the energy bills of consumers, and at the same time create jobs and make sure that we reduce our carbon footprint in this country.